Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive where we get to geek out over all things health and wellness.
I'm excited to be back.
So are we. Today, we're going to be digging into vitamin timing.
Ooh, yes.
And this is inspired by a video by Dr. Berg DC called The Best Time of the Day to Take Vitamins.
Oh, yeah. He's a great resource.
I've been really curious about this because, you take all these vitamins and you're like, is it actually mattering when I take this?
Yeah. Does it make a difference?
Yeah, so we're going to dive into that today and see what Dr. Berg has to say.
Yeah, let's see if we can unlock the secrets of vitamin timing.
Right. So where do we even begin with this? It's like a whole puzzle. Like, when do you take what?
Yeah, well, he starts out by talking about how our bodies
Mm-hmm.
are on like these rhythms, right? We have a sleep cycle,
Right.
but we also have all these other rhythms that are happening in our bodies.
That's interesting.
Like digestive rhythms, hormonal rhythms.
So it's like our bodies are on a schedule even when we're not consciously aware of it.
Exactly. And so the timing of when we take certain vitamins could be working in sync with these rhythms or could be disrupting them.
Oh, that's a really cool way to look at it.
Yeah, so he specifically goes into fat-soluble vitamins.
Oh, right. Like A, D, E, K1, K2.
Exactly. And he explains that those are best absorbed when you eat them with fat,
Okay.
which makes sense because they're fat-soluble vitamins.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So logically, you would take that with a meal that has fat.
So like a salad with some olive oil or avocado or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Or sometimes those supplements actually come in oil.
Oh, right. Like my vitamin D drops are in oil.
Exactly.
I've also heard that cod liver oil is really good because it already has the vitamins A and D in an oil, so it doesn't matter as much when you take it.
Right. Like nature already packaged it perfectly.
It's so smart.
But he does say, even with cod liver oil, you probably don't want to take it right before bed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, there are a couple exceptions to this whole fat-soluble thing.
Okay, I was just going to ask you about that because I've heard that some people take D3 for sleep, so they take it at night.
Exactly. And that is an exception, and there are a few theories on why that might be the case. But the bottom line is, it's really about what works for you.
Yeah.
If you're taking D3 and it's helping you sleep at night,
Yeah.
then go for it. But generally speaking, fat-soluble vitamins with fat.
Okay.
And then the other interesting thing is he goes into some supplements that are actually better on an empty stomach.
Okay. That seems a little counterintuitive, but I'm interested to hear more.
Yeah, so he uses the example of TUTCA, which is it's a bile salt, and it helps with a lot of things.
I never even heard of that one.
Well, it can be good for bile sludge and fatty liver, and even some people think it might be helpful with dementia.
Oh, wow.
And he says that one should definitely be taken on an empty stomach because when you take it on an empty stomach, it can bypass digestion and go straight to those organs where it's needed. But if you take it with food, then it's going to get kind of mixed up with all that food and it might not be as effective.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's like you're giving it a clear path to do its job.
Exactly.
So TGCA on an empty stomach. Got it.
And then he also mentions things like activated charcoal.
Oh, right. Like for detox?
Yeah, and bentonite clay,
Yeah.
which people also use for detox. And he says that those are better on an empty stomach because if you take those with food, they might just bind to the food,
Yeah.
not the toxins you're trying to get rid of.
Oh, that's a good point.
So again, it's about giving them a clear path to do their job.
Okay.
He also says that individual amino acids like tryptophan are better on an empty stomach
Okay.
because if you take it with food, the absorption can be hindered by the other amino acids in the food.
Interesting.
And then he also says that trace minerals might be slightly better absorbed on an empty stomach because the stomach acid is going to be a little higher.
Okay, so empty stomach for those things. What about supplements that we might take before a meal?
Ooh, yes, that's a whole other category. And it's kind of like giving your digestive system a head start.
Ooh, tell me more. I love that idea.
So he talks about things like betaine hydrochloride, which we mentioned earlier, for stomach acid.
Yeah.
And he says that if you take that before a meal, it can really help prepare your stomach to digest the food properly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And he also mentions digestive enzymes.
Oh, right.
And he says taking those before a meal can also give your body that extra support to break down the food.
So it's like giving your digestive system a team of little helpers.
Yeah, it's like a pre-game warm-up for your digestion.
I love that. So pre-meal supplements are all about getting that digestion going strong.
Exactly.
Yes.
Optimizing that whole process.
This is so cool. I'm already thinking about how I can tweak my supplement routine.
Me too. It's making me think about things differently.
Yeah, and this is just the beginning.
I know. We haven't even gotten to sleep yet or all the other things he talks about.
I know. I'm excited to keep going.
Let's dive back in.
All right, so we've prepped our digestion. with those pre-meal supplements.
Right, like setting the stage.
Now, what about after we eat? Like, are there any post-meal strategies we should be thinking about?
Yeah, there are definitely some key players that come in after the meal.
Okay.
So he talks about ox bile and gallbladder formulas.
Okay. Those are new ones for me.
Well, they're basically like, they help with fat digestion.
Okay.
So remember how we were talking about fat-soluble vitamins needing fat to be absorbed?
Right?
Well, these kind of help with that process. They help emulsify the fats, breaking them down into smaller droplets.
Oh, okay. So it's like they're making it easier for our bodies to absorb those fats.
Exactly. And since fat digestion happens mainly in the small intestine, taking these after a meal when that process is already happening can be really helpful.
So it's like you're syncing it up with your body's natural flow.
Exactly. And this can be especially good for people who have had their gallbladder removed or who have trouble digesting fats.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like giving your body a little extra support.
And then he talks about this really interesting connection between ox bile and stomach acid.
Oh, okay. I'm all ears.
So he says if taking ox bile makes you feel worse, it could actually be a sign of low stomach acid.
Whoa, really? I would thought like more bile would help not make things worse.
I know it seems counterintuitive, but apparently stomach acid is what triggers the release of bile.
Oh, interesting.
So if you don't have enough stomach acid in the first place, adding more bile might actually back things up.
So it's like you need that initial spark to get things moving.
Exactly. So if you're having issues with ox bile, you might want to look into whether low stomach acid is a factor.
So it's like everything's connected, right? One system affects another.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance.
I'm starting to realize how important it is to pay attention to how your body responds to things.
Absolutely. It's so individualized.
All right, so we've talked about pre-meal and post-meal. What about nighttime? Are there any supplements that are good to take before bed?
Oh, yeah. Bedtime.
Yeah.
That's when we get to wind down and relax.
Right.
And there's some supplements that can actually enhance that process.
Okay, like what? I'm all about a good sleep routine.
Well, we've already mentioned calcium and magnesium and D3, which can help with sleep for some people.
What?
But he also mentions probiotics.
Probiotics? Really? I thought those were for gut health.
They are, but sometimes they can cause detox reactions or immune responses that can make you feel tired.
Oh, interesting.
So if you take them at night, you might just sleep through those reactions.
So it's like a strategic timing thing?
Exactly.
Sneaking in that gut health while you sleep?
And then there's vitamin B1, specifically the natural form of B1.
Okay.
He says that can be really good for stress reduction and sleep, especially for people who tend to overthink at night.
Oh, that's me. My brain just won't shut off sometimes.
Right. Well, B1 might be helpful. It helps with the production of neurotransmitters that promote relaxation.
Okay, so it's like calming the mind down.
And then finally, he also mentions detoxifying herbs. And he says those are good to take at night for the same reason as probiotics. If they trigger any detox reactions, you'll probably sleep through them.
So it's all about minimizing disruptions to your sleep.
Exactly. Creating that peaceful environment.
This is so helpful. I'm already thinking about how I can tweak my nighttime routine.
Me too. It's fascinating how these little timing changes can make a big difference.
And we haven't even scratched the surface yet.
I know. There's still so much more to learn about vitamin timing.
I'm ready to keep diving in. What else does Dr. Berg have to share with us? So we've talked about timing supplements around meals and bedtime. But what about when you're taking like a whole bunch of different vitamins and minerals? Does timing get even more complicated then?
It can. And that's something Dr. Berg definitely addresses in his video. He talks about how important it is to consider interactions between different supplements.
Interactions? Like, what do you mean?
Well, certain vitamins and minerals can actually affect how well your body absorbs other ones.
Oh, wow. So it's like some nutrients are friends and others are enemies.
Kind of. Some work better together, and some might compete with each other.
Okay, I'm curious. Can you give me some examples?
Yeah, so a classic example is iron and vitamin C. Iron is much better absorbed when you take it with vitamin C.
Oh, that's why they say to take your iron supplement with a glass of orange juice.
Exactly. The vitamin C helps create a more acidic environment in your stomach, which makes the iron easier to absorb.
So it's like giving the iron a little boost.
Exactly. Now, on the flip side, calcium and iron can actually compete for absorption.
Oh, really? So if you take them together, you might not be getting as much of either one.
Right. So in that case, it's better to space them out, like maybe take your calcium in the morning and your iron at night.
Okay, that makes sense. Give them each their own time to shine.
And then another pairing to watch out for is zinc and copper. Taking too much zinc can interfere with copper absorption.
Interesting. Why is that a problem?
Well, copper is important for a lot of things in the body, like energy production and immune function.
Oh, wow. So you don't want to be low on copper.
Definitely not. So if you're taking a zinc supplement, just make sure you're getting enough copper from your diet, or maybe take a separate copper supplement at a different time.
Okay, so again, it's all about balance.
Exactly. And this is why it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor or a nutritionist if you're taking multiple supplements. They can help you figure out the best timing and dosages for your individual needs.
That's a really good point. Now, I'm also curious about using vitamin timing to support specific health goals. Like, can you actually time your supplements to help you sleep better, or boost your energy, or even improve your brain function?
Absolutely. And Dr. Berg goes into some specific examples of how to do that. He talks about melatonin for sleep.
Right. Melatonin is that hormone that helps regulate your sleep cycle.
Exactly. And he says taking it about 30 minutes to an hour before bed can be really helpful.
Okay, that makes sense.
But you don't want to take it too early or too late. It's all about finding that sweet spot.
It's like giving your body a little nudge towards sleep at just the right time.
Exactly. Now, for energy, he mentions B vitamins, which are essential for converting food into energy.
Right.
And he says taking a B complex in the morning can give you a nice sustained energy boost throughout the day.
Okay, so it's like fueling up your energy tank first thing.
And for cognitive function, he talks about omega-3 fatty acids, which are super important for brain health.
Yeah, I know those are found in fatty fish like salmon.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can also get them from supplements like fish oil or algal oil.
Okay, cool.
And he says taking those with a meal that has some fat can help with absorption.
Okay, so it's back to that fat-soluble thing.
And he also mentions ginkgo biloba, which is an herb that's been traditionally used to improve memory and focus.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
And he recommends taking that in the morning or early afternoon for the best cognitive boost.
This is all so fascinating. I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for the power of vitamin timing.
It's amazing how much of an impact it can have.
It's like we've unlocked a secret code to better health.
I know. It makes you want to go back and rethink your whole supplement routine.
Totally. But I think the most important takeaway is to really pay attention to your body and how it responds to different things.
Absolutely. What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. We all have our own unique needs and rhythms.
So it's all about finding what works best for you.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
Thank you so much for breaking it all down for us.
It's been a pleasure.
And thanks to all of you for joining us on this journey of discovery. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of health and wellness.